We are live.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Howard County Delegation Meeting. It is March 4th, 2026. I'm sorry for the early start. We have to all get our panoramic picture taken, so we had to begin early. And I'm going to kick it off with HOCO 5, Voting Age Board of Education Elections. Delegate Terrassa, do you want to tell us what the bill does?
Oh, okay, sure. It lets 16 and 17-year-olds vote in the regular election, both the primary and the general, for Board of Education members.
Okay, is there any discussion on the bill?
Well, and okay.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just hoping to wait till Jessica got here.
I didn't realize she wasn't here. I'm sorry, of course. Yeah, but of course you're right.
And it looks like Delegate Hill has a question.
Well, let's start there. I'm just worried about getting some work done in the amount of time we have. Delegate
Well,
Hill.
could we skip? Yeah, okay.
Make a note that because it's a constitutional amendment, what we would be voting for is to send it to the voters, and they would determine whether or not the bill would go forward. I mean, in other words, whether the high schoolers would be able to vote, the 16-year-olds and up. Okay, so I just want to make that point.
Thank you for that.
I'm
Do you know if Jess is joining us?
I know that both Jess and I believe Gabe is joining us, but I didn't
Okay.
talk to him specifically.
Okay, Delegate Kazoni.
thank you. Can you just go back over what, and I'm sorry that I forgot all of this, but what Terry was just talking about? So what exactly what are the steps that would need to be happening with this?
Maybe Derek maybe Derek could answer that.
Okay.
Apologies, I didn't realize my camera was covered. So the bill would have to pass the General Assembly, and then, as Delegate Hill mentioned, because it's a constitutional amendment, it will be voted on this November. It would have to be approved by both the voters of the state and also by a majority of the voters of Howard County.
It would have to pass at the state level?
It would have to be approved in the referendum statewide, and it would also have to be approved by a majority of the voters in Howard County.
Okay.
There's a provision, if you look at on page 4 of the bill, section 3, it reads that the General Assembly determines that the amendment to the Maryland Constitution proposed by section 1 of this act affects only one county, and that the provisions of Article 14, section 1 of the Maryland Constitution concerning local approval of constitutional amendments apply. What that means is for a constitutional amendment to pass in those circumstances, it would need a majority of the voters statewide and a majority of the voters of the county in question, in this instance, of course, Howard County, to approve the constitutional amendment.
And my recollection is, I'm sorry, can I have another question, Madam Chair?
Yes, of course. Of
Thank
course.
you. Just, my recollection is that there are no other counties or the city that have this currently. There are a few municipalities. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
Jumping in here,
Madam
did the municipalities have to get a constitutional amendment?
Say that again?
Did the municipalities have to do it the same way with a constitutional amendment and statewide voting?
Maybe Dara has that answer. I don't believe that's the same thing because it's not on.
I don't believe so either. I believe because
So our vote is to move it to the voters. I mean, what we would be voting is to put the question to the voters, which is very different for me looking at this bill than voting to allow 16-year-olds to vote.
Delegate Wu.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So Mr. Moriarty, so the question here, because for some park, like for example, Tacoma Park, right, a non-citizen can vote, right? This one, we require citizen to vote?
They'd have to be citizens.
They would definitely have to be citizens.
Right, is there any requirement written somewhere or just because like we talk about 16 vote, right? Or non-sitting vote, like at Tacoma Park, we always reference that.
They'd have to be citizens to vote in our elections.
Yeah.
They're not eligible otherwise.
Madam Chair, move approval.
I'll second.
I just think
Second.
we've talked about it a lot and we just need to move it one way or another. So that's why I moved it.
A second.
Okay. So this is the vote on HOCO 526.
Delegate
I'll-
Feldmark, did you want to say something before we call the roll? Or you,
Yes, I just wanted to clarify, and I'm sorry if you covered this earlier. Delegate Terrassa, I know you had reached out to the Board of Elections, and I know for the primary, this would not require an additional ballot. For the general election, it would. And I guess some additional, training of election judges to deal with this. I just wanted to confirm before the vote, from your conversations with them, recognizing they'd have to make some adjustments, but from an implementation standpoint, it seems manageable. Is that?
Yep, it's absolutely manageable for 2028. It'll be even better when they have their new system in place in 2030, but they said they absolutely could do it in 2028.
Okay, thank you. Just wanted to confirm that. Thanks.
sorry for interrupting, Musa. You can go ahead and call the roll.
Okay, this is a roll for HOCO 526. Delegate Feldmark,
Yes.
Delegate Guzzoni,
Sorry, my mute was not working. Yes.
Delegate Hill,
Yes.
Delegate Moreno,
Yes.
Delegate Terrassa,
Yes,
Delegate Watson.
My vote is yes, and I'd like to explain my vote. I believe what we are voting for is to allow, first of all, to allow the Maryland General Assembly to consider the question. And because we pass this bill here does not mean that it will necessarily pass the Maryland General Assembly. So I think it is good that we will have other people weigh in, particularly the committee that will hear this Ways and Means. And then should it pass the Maryland General Assembly, we would then go to the voters. For those reasons, my vote is yes.
Just Delegate Watson, this is going to go to GLE, it looks like.
Oh, GLE, you're right,
Yeah.
GLE. We have a new committee,
Right.
Government, Labor, and Elections. So I think having those extra voices weigh in on the issue statewide is going to be important to proper vetting of all the outcomes for this bill.
Delegate Wu
I will vote no.
and Chair Ziegler.
Yes,
HOCO 526 passes.
thank you very much. Okay, next we're going to move on to 1026. I'm happy to discuss the bill. We got a change to an amendment last night. And I feel there's been so much back and forth on this bill. I really would like to see an actual amendment that is the final amendment that we can all look at together and make a decision because, as I say, I am in a state of complete confusion at this point personally. So is there any discussion on the bill? I'm happy to talk about it. Delegate Moreno.
I completely agree with you. I am also confused by all the amendments. So yeah, I would like to just have a final one and then be able to look at it as well.
Delegate Wu.
Sure. Madam Chair, thank you very much. And first, I want to thank you from Mr. Shepherd and Ms. Cameron from the county executive office and been working with me on this amendment. And so there are a few changes. I think from their several amendments, eventually I think Mr. Shepherd sent some like new language to the original amendment. I think that language makes sense. So the amendment we have is I think Ms. Moriarty, do you have the final amendment you got from the amendment office?
I believe so. I don't know at what time the final changes were made. The last amendment I got was yesterday afternoon at
Yeah.
around 3:30. Okay. I'm happy to share that, share my screen if needed.
I think that would be helpful.
Okay.
Delegate Watson?
I was just gonna say, we're under a short timeline. We have other bills. Those of us that have been following the email trail know that we got an email from the county last night, which said the amendment that came in at 3 wasn't acceptable. There needed to be language added. I think we need to allow time for that to happen and get an interlineated, is that how you say it? Copy of the bill for all of us to read, because we simply
Interlineated.
we don't have time to do this online today. So therefore, I would move that we hold the bill.
Thank you. Delegate Guzzoni?
Yeah, I was about to say the same thing. I have not had an opportunity to look at it. I was in committee until late last night and did not have the energy to look at anything after that. So I haven't had an opportunity to see this at all, and I would really prefer if we could hold it.
Agreed. Yes, I would like to read it when I have a little more executive function, not late at night. So we will hold the bill until next week. Thank you very much. Next, we have HOCO 1526. This is just something that I put in kind of as a backstop. We can discuss it or not. As things stand now, the Inspector General does not have the access that she believes she needs to personnel and financial records because of the interplay between the county and the state. I do want to say there is a statewide bill that does the exact same thing, which just gives the IG access to the records she needs to do her job. And it would be obviously better if that passed. But I did drop in this county bill really at her request, just in case. Delegate Watson.
Yes, thank you for being responsive to the IG, and I appreciate the situation and the problem. I think that we're too late in the process, though, because we don't really have the opportunity to have another public hearing on it. We need to hear from probably several different other parties before we would pass it. And so for the same reasons as I said on Delegate Wu's bill, I think we need to hold this and move on because we're just running out of time.
No question about that. Delegate Hill.
I was actually going to move the bill for discussion. I think that this might have to do with things like is there if you recall a couple years ago when there was a question about investigation in the library, there was concern about whether the library and their guidance was that they did not have to turn over certain records, and that became quite a kerfluffle. So I think that we should have the discussion and if you want to hold it till the end after any other bills you want to vote on, that's fine. But I don't think, I mean, I've certainly seen bills move late. I think Delegate Watson's point about a public hearing is true, but we have time for that. And having been in the Baltimore County delegation where we were able to move bills and continue to meet all the way up and move things along, I don't think that's necessarily a problem with where we are on the calendar right now.
Thank you,
So
Delegate Terrassa. I'm sorry, Delegate Hill, did I cut you off?
But Delegate Watson had moved to hold, and I don't know if that's I think that motion is on. It wasn't seconded, but I think the motion in of itself is the motion. But if it's not, I would move the bill. So
I'll do a friendly amendment on my own motion, which is let's hold it to the end of the agenda so that we can handle the bills that have been in. Yeah,
I'll accept that.
Okay. In that case, I don't have it on the agenda, but I did want to raise the mandatory school holiday bill. We've had some opposition testimony that is concerning to me from the Indian Cultural Association about the fact that Holi is not included as a holiday. There is also a constitutional issue perhaps with this in terms of establishment of religion. And I think that we do need to hold on to that bill still. And I'm sorry this has been so difficult, but it's just not an easy, it's not an easy situation. Delegate Guzzoni.
Yeah, I was just gonna, I agree with you, Madam Chair, about holding on this. I think it's a very tricky situation, and we certainly need to have an opportunity to hear from the Indian community a little bit more and understand what all that looks like, and try to figure out what the balance is, and this is a hard space for me anyhow.
Thank you. Delegate Wu.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I want to address the two questions you have, right? So first one, for the holiday. So we had Diwali on our list already, right? So this to try to align with HCPSS practice. We're not adding anything new. I just want to mention that. So we definitely know holiday is very important. But at the same time, we have the holiday there. We are aligned with HCPSS practice. That's to address that question. Second question about the constitutionality. I think this bill comes from last year. We had discussion. We actually have Attorney General's opinion from their Baltimore. I think Baltimore County had a question a long time ago. The Attorney General office had an opinion. There's no constitutional issue at all.
Thank you. Delegate Feldmark.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My question really was on the constitutionality, because I do recall that we took it to the AG's office last year and got advice. So I didn't know if there had been further review or advice on the constitutional question. And just if anyone has that and would be willing to share it, that would be helpful.
I'll share that.
Thank you very much. Delegate Hill.
Thank you. I guess I just wanted to offer conceptually, would it change anything for anybody to make them more comfortable in terms of alignment and the number of days and all of those things if we also removed Easter Monday, which, you know, and substituted Holiday for Easter Monday? Because Easter Monday it's a remnant. And you know, if we were trying to find more room, then that's the suggestion I would make.
That's certainly an idea that has been floated frequently and makes sense to me. Delegate Guzzoni?
Yeah, I think most of you know my feelings about Easter Monday, and that it's completely not a holiday, and it is current state law. It is in the list of the, I think, 5 or 6 holidays that are in state law with regard to education.
Easter Monday.
Easter Monday.
Yeah.
So I only share that because that makes it not something that, you know, then it involves a
can change.
different level. Yeah.
Right.
So I feel that we really do have to continue to hold this bill. It turns out to be much more complicated than I think any of us anticipated. Delegate Hill.
But we don't, I mean, if that's going to complicate things to remove Easter Monday, we don't, but it's not that it's that's not a constitutional issue. So removing it would say, except in Howard County, Easter Monday is a holiday. We can move it. We can remove it from the holidays, the school holidays that are observed in Howard County. That doesn't require a constitutional change. It's just a law. We change laws all the time and make exceptions, whether it's speed cameras or other things. So.
Yeah, no, the removing Easter Monday isn't all of the problem. So I am going to hold this bill, and shall we go back to a discussion of the IG for a few minutes? We have a little bit of time since I got everybody up so early. Delegate Terrasa.
Sorry, it's taking me a second to find my audio button for some reason. This is on the bill, the IG bill. Is that okay? Or
we were gonna move back to that. Musa, did you want to say something?
I just wanted to mention that I know that we are cognizant of the crossover deadline. This bill is cross-filed with the Senate version, so we aren't as time constrained on that level. We do have a cross-file in the Senate with this bill.
Thank you
is that for the IG bill?
for the IG bill.
For the IG bill, yes.
Delegate Wu.
Well, I had a question.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I support this bill. At the same time, I think we need to go through the process, right? We need to have a public hearing. We need to hear from people, and that's just my feedback.
I absolutely agree with you. Delegate Teresa.
So, yeah, I would agree with Delegate Wu and what he said, but I thought that our last agenda said it was on there for a public hearing. Wasn't it
No.
on,
Not this bill. No, we didn't
not
have,
the IG bill?
not the IG.
Okay,
bill.
maybe it was a
Didn't-
different one. All right.
yeah, We
thanks for
didn't have it
clarifying.
at the time.
Well, then we definitely need to have a hearing, but
100%.
yeah, I mean, I'm, from what I know, supportive of this.
Further discussion, Delegate Hill?
Yeah, can we have a public hearing on that bill next Wednesday morning? And here we promote it, and I think that's sufficient time for a public hearing.
If that's the sense of the delegation, absolutely. Delegate Kazoni.
So for sure, I'm fine with doing that next Wednesday. And you mentioned that this is sort of a backstop for a full House bill. And has that bill been heard yet?
I don't think so. Musa, do you know where that is? Or Dara, do you know where that is?
Yes, that bill is House Bill 1620. It's in the Rules Committee.
Ah. And who knows whether or not it will come out of the Rules Committee.
Thank you for that information.
Yes, right. So I think that was the reason for some urgency around seeing what we could do at the county delegation level. Anybody else have anything to say about the Inspector General bill? For it, again it? Interested in having a hearing next week?
Pardon me, Madam Chair. Just the House Bill 1620 has a cross file as well, Senate Bill 991, which is in the Senate Rules Committee. So
Okay.
there is it.
Okay. And ours will be in the Rules Committee as well, of course.
Yeah.
So yes, Delegate Watson is certainly right. We are up against it. But we can certainly put it on the agenda for next week. I do think it is a very important issue. I don't see the point of having an IG if she isn't able to do her work. Delegate Watson. Oh,
Muted.
you're on mute.
Yes, I am. I agree with you that it's an important issue, and if we have the time to work on it, we should. I would think that one thing we might want to do between now and next week is talk with the state sponsors of the statewide bill and see where that is and what we think its chances are of passing. Because clearly, I would think it'd be in the interest of the state to have the same language and the same rules that apply to all jurisdictions rather than each jurisdiction doing their own thing. So if we have a week, let's talk and see where that bill is going.
Excellent. That is an excellent suggestion. Yes, absolutely. We will do that. All right. So we actually have more time than we needed. Does anybody else have anything for the good of the order they would like to share?
So are we going to have the public meeting for our next Wednesday morning? Is that the plan, Madam Chair? Or
I think that is the tentative plan. Yes.
Okay.
Delegate Watson.
I don't think we can commit to that at this point because we don't even know what next Wednesday's schedule is going to be. And if we put a public meeting out there 1 week before crossover, the chances of us not being able to do it are pretty high. So I see a problem with that. But we can talk about it. Maybe we can discuss it offline and come up with a solution, but I don't want to commit to that right now.
Madam Chair, I think we can, but anyway, it's up to you, Madam.
Yeah. Well, as I say, let's call it a tentative plan. I do think it's a good idea to speak with the sponsors of the state bills and kind of play out how we could make this happen. Delegate Watson?
I also think we need to, if we're going to do this, we need to get an opinion or a letter from the county and the school board as to their position on the bill. Just there is an opportunity if we have a public hearing for them to do that, but I would proactively reach out and just make sure we have all sides of the story.
Okay, thank you. Delegate Hill?
I would just say that there are other entities too. It's not just the school board. So if we're getting letters, we would want a letter from the library. There may be other county entities. Those are the three that I can think of. Maybe Delegate Feldmark can think of, are there other groups that we might want to get letters from? But yeah, that's all I wanted to ask.
Delegate Feldmark, did you have?
I can give some thought to it, but I guess just really quickly on the point of scheduling, and I fully acknowledge Delegate Watson's point that we don't know how our schedule may be changing as we get closer to crossover. But I'm also very concerned about the prospect of not giving much notice for a public hearing. So I would want to see us schedule that hearing with plenty of notice for the public. And if it needs to be rescheduled, it can be rescheduled. I'd rather see that happen because then we have a list of interested parties who have signed up to testify who can be notified of the rescheduling rather than trying to pull something together with just a couple days notice, which I really don't feel is adequate. So just
I agree with that.
yeah. Thank
That
you.
makes sense. What would you consider adequate notice? 2 weeks?
2 weeks is definitely adequate notice. I'm not sure it's adequate given crossover. I think, if we want to put out notice today that we're holding a public hearing next week, I think 1 week is adequate notice considering the timeline we're on. But I'd hope we could give folks at least a week's notice. So if that's our goal, we should get on it.
I would agree. Yes. Delegate Teresa?
Just ditto. I agree with Delegate Feldmark on that.
Yeah, no, we certainly would have to follow the process and
Right. So I would announce today. I mean, and then if we have to cancel, we do.
And I would note that
with
if
that.
it's announced today, if you make the determination and announce it at this meeting, that's the first piece of public notice, because this is a public meeting.
True. I'm not sure we're there yet. Musa?
I just wanted to bring up for the delegation, Delegate Ziegler, that we have invited Representative Alfred to next week's meeting. If that changes any scheduling considerations, you can always ask her to change the date if this hearing is of paramount importance. But I just wanted to note that on the schedule right now, we tentatively have the representative coming in.
Delegate Watson?
Do we have to do this before crossover? Is there a way to do it during crossover week?
I don't know the answer to that. Mr. Moriarty, do you know the answer to that?
I mean, there are bills that cross over after crossover. The significance of crossover is that if it happens after that, rather than being assigned to
Committee.
to this committee, it would go to the rules committee of the opposite house.
Okay.
So there is a the system in place who we often see, not just related to local bills that cross over post crossover date.
Delegate Kazoni?
I was just curious where our compatriots in the Senate are on this and whether or not they had thoughts on this bill and were thinking about moving something similar or this one.
Do you know the answer to that, Musa?
The Senate has this exact copy of the bill as a Senate version, and they seem amenable to it from my talks with them. They haven't voted on it yet. They haven't had discussion on it yet, but they seem amenable from my discussions with them.
Good to know.
Yeah. And also, I'll put this out here because I'm an early person, so it doesn't bother me. If we need extra time, I'm fine with starting this meeting at 8 o'clock in the morning, so we can slot this in for public discussion.
Okay. So just for me to get a sense, does the delegation feel that this is an important thing to move forward with? I see some nodding heads. Delegate Gazani, you have your hand up.
I just forgot to take it down.
Oh, okay. No, no problem. Yes. Okay, well, let me think about how to move forward with this and see if we can talk to the statewide sponsors, and we will see what we can do. All right, unless anybody else has anything they would like to say,
Move to adjourn.
we are adjourned. Thank you very much. We'll see you on the floor.
Good job. Thank you.